we're going to be looking at political hypocrisy, silver surging, and also some market madness that is creeping in as well. Just a couple of bits of housekeeping. First of all, thanks to a wonderful iOS update from Apple, my battery drains like an absolute pain in the backside. So if I start connecting my phone and holding it in my hand, that's why. Again, this iOS update meant that even my battery last night, which was at 100% before I went to bed, slept for 8 hours, and I woke up and it was on 25%. And that was with airplane mode and low battery as well. Secondly, plenty of background noise that you might hear. Apologies. I've got some very loud music being played in the apartment above me, as well as some drainage works being done in the apartment complex. So apologies if you hear any loud background sounds. Plenty going on in the markets themselves. But first of all, before we start looking through various charts, it's going to talk about a bit of political hypocrisy. And I think what I mean by this is that there is a lot of issues at the moment, not just in the USA, but certainly in the UK. And the most prominent story at present is that the Deputy Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, Angela Rayner, has admitted a stamp duty error. And she's referred herself to the Ethics Committee in the UK government. Now, this is interesting. This is all due to the underpaying of stamp duty. So, stamp duty, if you're not aware, that's a tax that you pay as part of most property purchases in the UK. She bought a new flat in a place called Hove, which is where I was previously living. So, Brighton and Hove, right on the south coast. And she believes that the error has been made from a divorce from a couple of years ago, and a trust fund that was involved in order to look after her disabled son. And she believes that she is underpaid stamp duty, and as a result, she's referred herself to the Ethics Committee. Now, I'm not here to necessarily have a bash. There's two sides to this argument. Number one, no one really knows what's been done, why it's been done, and how it's been done. So I just want to make that clear. Secondly, the hypocrisy comes from that this is a deputy prime minister that has been very critical of forms of capitalism. Of course, she is part of the Labour government, Labour very left wing, as we know, in the United Kingdom. And the fact that she's been bashing capitalism, having a go at landlords, so people that own property in the UK, she's been very anti those things. And all of a sudden, she has decided, even though her constituency is up in the northwest of England and she is a deputy prime minister, and she has access to a flat in central London, I believe, as part of her work for the government, she has decided to spend somehow £800,000 on a flat in Hove. Hove is a very nice part of the country, but it's also in the south, so it's nowhere near her constituency. It's relatively near London, but that railway line between Hove and London is unforgiving, and she has free use of a flat in central London. So quite why she would need to buy this property in the first place is a bit weird. So this is what I mean by the hypocrisy. What she's also done, and this is where I'll give her a bit of credit, is that we have various rules in the UK where you don't have to pay, or depends on the level, you don't necessarily have to pay stamp duty on your primary residence up to a certain level. Again, I will try and find links to all of this to put in the post as well. But the point being, her home up in the northwest of England, she had removed herself from the title deeds. I believe that then put it in some form of trust fund in order to look after her disabled child, and then has treated the new residence in Hove in the south of England as her primary residence, therefore enabling less stamp duty to be paid. Now, actually, there's nothing wrong with that because that's within the law. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm sure if you and I were in a similar situation and we were looking to be as tax efficient as possible within the legal framework that we are given, I'm sure that most of us would do that, or at least look to go down that route. So I'm not going to have a pop at her for that, because actually it's quite a clever thing to do, and it's also within the laws. The hypocrisy that people get pissed off with is that, again, as I said, she is very anti-landlord. She's very anti wealth, almost very anti-capitalist. Yet what she's doing is almost goes against her beliefs. It pretty much goes against the Fabian Society. I'll put a link to the Fabian Society because most people in the current government are Fabians. Very, very left-wing socialistic ideology there. But again, I'll put a link to that in the post. So I think this, again, here is a challenge. Now, again, as I said, there's two sides here. She's done everything apparently within the parameters of the law, and she's looking to be as tax efficient as possible. Fine, that's great. I'd argue that's quite capitalist. It's quite clever. It's quite capitalist. But yet, the very people that she despises, she's becoming one of them. And I think that's where people have started to had enough as well, to be honest. We've seen something quite similar with various left-sided politicians in the USA as well, where they seem to be very anti-business. Yet, if you look at some of their net worths over the years since they've been in office, I think if I get a name correct, it's Ilan Omar. I think along those lines, I believe her portfolio is up over 6,000% since she has become part of the government or Congress or a representative, whatever the correct word is, over in the USA. Again, she seems very anti-capitalist as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, if you look at her net wealth, it's only gone in one direction, and that's gone skywards. So it's hypocrisy. And we could argue, of course, that then maybe the rules should change. Because if the rules have changed, then there we are. I'm a firm believer that no member of parliament should get paid, especially in the UK. If that was the case in the 1820s, 1830s, people or members of parliament would not be paid at all. And I believe that people should, or we should go back to that level, get rid of the perks, get rid of the pay, and then see what happens. People might actually do something for the benefit of their own country. Maybe that will be the same wherever you're from as well. Of course, I pick on the left, excuse me, I pick on the left quite easy because I find them quite an easy set of people to pick on. But again, there are people on the right hand side of the political spectrum that are not much better. I think the key thing here that people are getting annoyed with is the sheer hypocrisy of what is going on. The other key thing, while we're on the subject of politics, is digital IDs. Again, anyone that is been classed as a tinfoil hatter would have seen this coming down the road. It all started, especially in the UK, with Blair back in the 90s, so about 30 years ago. And it's no surprise that everything has resurfaced. So we have said, not just me, other people as well, have said that what would happen is the government would manufacture a crisis. And then what they would do in order to get people out of that crisis would be to come up with a solution. And people, not just myself, have said that that crisis would be an immigration crisis. And that the answer to that, of course, would be a digital ID, because, we need to control and have a look at who's coming into the country, and we need to know who they are, what they do, etc., etc., etc. And of course, with a digital ID, it's of course going to be beneficial for you as a citizen of that country. So, we're doing this for the benefit of you, of course. All part of the globalist playbook, all part of things that we've said before and other commentators have said before. It's funny, ironic and sad that the tinfoil hatters, so to speak, these conspiracy theories, they're actually playing out and they're actually quite true. So, hey ho. So if you're in the UK, I've got a feeling digital ID is coming for you. So that's going to involve anything from healthcare to telecommunications, financial services, even, again, programming that digital currency that's going to be linked with that digital ID. So if you are using too much oil or gas because you're not meeting the net zero objectives that the UK has, no more gas and electric for you. All of these sorts of things, again, I've said telecommunications, social platforms, travel and mobility, I think is going to be the one that catches people off guard. That, again, if you are producing too much carbon dioxide because of your travel schedules, then no more travel for you. This is why I say plan B is very important. If you are in Europe, if you are in the UK, if you do not have a plan B, if you do not have a temporary residency elsewhere, or another passport, or a permanent residency elsewhere, please do act before it's too late. I've always said my direct messaging on Substack is open to anyone who wants to send me a message. You are more than welcome to send me a message. I will do my best to help where I can. I've also got a multitude of contacts around the world that can help you, because I appreciate there's going to be people listening to this that might have millions in their account. You might have a few thousand in your account. A plan B doesn't have to be expensive. Again, if I can help, I will. If I'm not able to help, given your circumstances, I know other people that I could put you in contact with. So please do direct message me on Substack for plan B stuff. Just an update on my plan B. So yes, although I am a UK citizen, I will be hopefully obtaining permanent residency in Mexico later on this month, and then we'll be heading off to Paraguay for residency over there, and also for tax residency over in Paraguay as well. I will write an article about who I am working with and why I've decided to work with that particular company. I will write that article in due course. I will keep you updated as best as possible on that front. Looking at other things that are going on, again, in the post that comes with this, I'll put that thing about Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister of the UK, and her stamp duty challenges. Again, if she's received bad advice, then, well, that's her problem. And again, I'll link to the digital IDs as well. One of the graphics isn't the clearest of graphics in the world. My apologies for that in advance. Let's have a look at the markets. I'm just going to bring in the charts, and of course, unless you've not been paying attention to any mainstream media or any media in general at the start of September, then you are going to know that gold on the futures is nearing 3,600. It feels like every time I write a newsletter now, I'm going to say it's an all-time high. It's because it is. It's surging onwards and upwards. Again, this is a gold futures I'm looking at. It currently stands at $3,573, up $126 on this week alone. In the last 2 weeks, it is up just over $200, which, again, I'll give a kudos to Quoth the Raven, the QTR Fringe Finance, QTR Research, purely because he has said time and time again that moving forwards, $100 days are going to become the norm. Now, admittedly, we're talking $200 in the last 2 weeks, but if you go back and look through the history of gold, that very, very, very rarely happens, and it's going to start to become commonplace moving forward. So I do believe that's going to happen moving forwards. So I just want to shout out and a kudos to QTR there. Now, if we look at silver, silver is really where, I don't want to say it's where the action's happening, but it's certainly where a lot of people are getting very excited at the moment. So silver at the time of recording, this is on the futures, $41.35. That is up $1.66 so far on the week, so it's about 4%. Last week, it was up only 80 cents, but still 2.6, just over 2% there. It also gapped up. Of course, it was Labor Day on Monday, the 1st of September in the US. Now, therefore, the US markets were closed, but we've seen over the weekend a lot of funky price action. Now, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say, that's it, it's off to the moon, it's off to the races. What I would say is when everyone gets bullish, it's possibly a good idea to take a contrarian view on that. The silver paper markets have a very interesting way of working, and it would not surprise me to see silver crash back down anytime soon. That being said, I'm attacking that from a trading point of view. If you're watching this and you are a holder of silver and you would like to get involved in physical silver, I still think $41.30 is a fantastic price in order to dollar cost average in. Again, plenty of ways to obtain physical silver. You can dollar cost average in. I appreciate there's going to be people listening to this that already have big positions in silver. I appreciate there's going to be people listening to this that might not even have a position in silver. I'm not recommending financial advice. Please do not take anything I say as financial advice. What I would say is, again, at just over $41, it's a very attractive price. to buy and hold. The big psychological aspect on silver is, I think, going to be the $50 mark. Now, the $50, around $50, is where we saw the highs in 1980, 81, and it came very close to that in 2011. Now, I know that that does not include, dollar inflation costs. So once you put them on, then the high is about $150 in those terms. But in just bog standard terms of using the high from 80, 81, which was around about $50, I think that's going to be the key psychological barrier here. Because when silver does get to $50, and it will, I think that's when you're going to see a lot of people selling, because they might have this belief that it's not going to go higher. My belief is it's going to go much higher. A triple digit silver is going to be a piece of cake. I'm not the only one that says that. Gary Savage says that. Loads of other political, not political, bullion commentators will say the same thing. Triple digit silver is going to happen. Therefore, we need to overcome that key psychological barrier first. As I said, it's still 23% off its high that it was in 1980, 81. When the $50 mark comes up, don't be surprised to see quite a bit of selling. I think that is likely to happen. If it doesn't, fantastic. Point being here that, again, if you're looking to trade silver, good luck. If you're looking to buy silver, buy physical silver, again, even at $41, it's still a very attractive price, in my opinion. Even gold, again, at $3,570, even that is still a very attractive proposition at the moment. And again, the reason why they're both attractive propositions is that we are going to see, very likely, a Federal Reserve rate cut in September. We've seen cuts here with the ECB, the European Central Bank, over in Europe. We've seen the Bank of England as well reduce their rates too. And they're doing that in the wake of inflation re-rising, shall we say. And therefore, it's just adding fuel to the fire. I was on Ben Kellerman's podcast, I think it's called Contrarian Corner, the other day. And I just put it into layman's terms. If you think that your currency, no matter what country you're in, if you believe that that currency is going to continue to be devalued, i.e., they're going to print more of it, etc., 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 then the flip side of that is that the price of, say, gold, silver, is going to rise. If your value of the currency goes down, chances are gold and silver are going to rise. If you believe that QE is coming, obviously we're seeing a QT, quantitative tightening, at the moment. If you do believe that some form of QE is going to happen, and you do believe that more currency is going to be printed, again, no matter what country you're in, then if you believe that's going to happen, and it does happen, gold will go up, silver will likely go up as well. Therefore, just in layman's terms, you've got your answer. Again, not financial advice. Please do go and always do your own homework and your own research. But that's pretty much where it is in layman's terms at the moment. Just going back to the Contrarian Capitalist itself, I recorded a podcast with Don Direct yesterday. Don's going to try and come on every quarter to give an update of what's going on. He was very candid in our interview yesterday, saying that he now thinks his $100 silver target is actually quite conservative. He thinks it's going to go much higher than that. He's looking at 125, 150. Also tomorrow, Thursday the 4th of September, two great things to happen tomorrow. Number one, the NFL season is back. I am looking forward to be able to sit down with a beer and watch some NFL between now and January. Again, apologies for those that know that I'm a New York Jets fan. I will no doubt be complaining after week one, probably after about 5 minutes of the game that the Jets play on Sunday. Point being, the NFL is back, but more importantly, on Thursday, the 4th of September, I'm going to be recording a podcast with David Morgan, the Morgan Report founder, also a silver guru. If ever there is one in the market, he certainly is. So he'll be making his Contrarian Capitalist debut tomorrow. As always, podcasts do come out to paid subscribers first before being released to the general public. Later on in September, there are so many other podcasts lined up as well. I've got fantastic conversations coming up with Eric Young. Eric Townsend's back on the show as well. Will Tanner, Ian Burlingame. There is so much going on in September. As always, as I like to say, please do allow me to serve you at a higher level. In order to do that, a monthly subscription to the Contrarian Capitalist starts from $9.17, give or take, a month. And what you get for that is access to the 8 to 10 market newsletters, also the macro videos. There's a mid-month macro and a end of month macro. You have access to all of them. You also have access to the podcast, the expert interview podcast. You get premium access, first access to them as well before they're released to the general public. So please do allow me to serve you at a higher level, only for the cost of a couple of cups of coffee a month. More and more people are signing up. If you want to become a founding member, that is a once-off, or it's a one-off lifetime investment as well. Again, those options are there. And if a paid subscription isn't for you for now, then you can still find a way to support the channel by buying CC. That's myself. You can buy me a coffee. Again, I'll put buttons in the post that come with this video. Those buttons are always in the other posts as well, podcasts and the newsletters. But please do allow me the chance to serve you at a much higher level. With the newsletters, there's a commodity wrap every Friday, and there's then an equity wrap, an indices wrap every Sunday as well. And of course, the mid-month macro and the end of month macro are recorded with Chris Stedley from Live Squawk Commodity Corner. That will do for today. Again, please do look at the post. The links will be on the post as well. A couple of images with regards of what we've spoken to. Again, we're looking at political hypocrisy across, I think, all parts of the world. We're seeing that silver is surging at the moment. Caution to the win there if you're trading, but if you're buying physical silver, in my opinion, still a very good time for you. And again, if you're in the UK, if you're in the EU, we're seeing capital controls. We're starting to see the thoughts of digital IDs coming in. If you have the option to get out, you please do so. Please do have a plan B. Please do not put all of your passport and residency eggs in one basket. Please do send me a direct message on Substack. I will do my best to help. That is the purpose of this channel, is to say gold, silver, plan B. As we always say, protect your wealth, defend your freedom, outsmart the system. Please allow me to serve you at a high level by becoming a paid subscriber. Thank you very much. I'll be back with the David Morgan podcast tomorrow, and then, of course, the commodity wrap on Friday. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe and speak soon.